All right. Yes. We say, whoa, already the wire's messed up. I've already crossed my wires. The evening's just started, ladies and gentlemen, and I've crossed my wires. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, moms and dads, children of all persuasions. You are watching Living on a Thin Line, Saturday night comedy jubilee. There's no reason to call it the Comedy Jubilee Edition other than it sounds good. The Comedy Jubilee Edition. We come to you every day at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time as your daily distraction from all the anxiety, weirdness, and hoopla engulfing the planet today. But on Saturdays, we thought we'd do something a little special, put on the dog, so to speak, do something fancy, and do it Saturday nights at 7, which means now there's something I got to do. All of a sudden, I got to do something. That's what happens. The things we want to do, we got to do. But I am glad to be here doing it. I hope you had a wonderful Saturday, whatever you were doing. We did. We had a very nice Saturday ourselves. Thank you very much for asking. I appreciate it so very much. We had a wing dang doodle of a time. Hold on, I got a little bit of a crooked camera here. I've got a crooked camera, and I can't let that go. I can't let a crooked camera go. You know what? I'll never get the shot I want. Never. Of course, I won't invest millions of dollars in the shot. Although we are going to invest in some. Look at that. What is that? Something on my jacket. What is that? It's a little thread. It's a little thread I had on my jacket. Anyway, we're gonna have a good time tonight. We are warming up. That's what we do on Saturday night. We're warming up. On Saturday night, we warm up for Sunday. On Saturday night, we lock and load. And on Saturday, we load up the slingshot and we pull it back. That's what we're doing on Saturday night to set up for Sunday night, which is a big night of the week for us right now. It's an important night of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Sunday nights. No, not because there's reruns of the Johnny Cash show from 1969 on. Certainly there are. And certainly that would be more than enough. Not because there's reruns of the Smothers Brothers on from the late 60s. But that would be enough. No, because we got something that isn't a rerun on Sunday nights. And you know what it is already. It is Tony Vicich presents Sunday Nights Funnier. It is from Zoom to your living room, ladies and gentlemen. It is one of the coolest experiences you could possibly have, where I, Tony Vicich, get to bring you some of the funniest people that I know out of the greater Phoenix comedy scene. Kind of stumbling around. I had a long day. I just woke up from a nap, so I'm still like, hey, what's going on? Is there any coffee? But I'm going to drink coffee this time of night because that'll be up till 4 a.m., which used to be a great idea, staying up till 4 a.m. And probably if you are in your teens or 20s, still is a good idea to stay up till 4 a.m. But it's not for me. Anyway, tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, I bring you Paul Green, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Green. Paul Green is one of the best comics to come out of the Phoenix comedy scene. Now lives in Los Angeles, but he's going to be joining DJ Payne, Abhinav Goyal, and Travis Minor off for one fun-filled night tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Tickets are only $10. When you purchase a ticket for that show, you're buying three things. You're buying Class A entertainment. You're helping keep the economy going because we pay the comics. And C, we donate to local food banks here in Maricopa. We donated today. We had a great time out of the Maricopa Food Pantry. We took a ride out to the Maricopa Food Pantry. We'll be posting some of that stuff tomorrow. Donated some of the funds that you guys have paid us for the shows. They were so appreciative. Jennifer and Jim out there, we want to thank them very much for all the great work that they do. That was our first time at their location out Papago Road. By the way, if you're a fan of shows like American Pickers, there's a bar called Raceway out on Papago Road. So this is outside of Phoenix. This is down between Interstate 10 and Interstate 8, at least what used to be no man's land. Raceway is this crazy bar in the desert where they've got all this memorabilia. Well, out near Raceway is where the Maricopa Food Pantry is, and we were able to go out there and make a nice donation because the nice people like you. That's why. This show is built around three things, ladies and gentlemen. 1, 2, 3. And one is interaction with you. You can ask questions and make comments right here on Facebook Live. You can do the same thing on YouTube on the Comedy Schools channel. You can do the same thing if you're only listening on Comedy Schools radio. Network.com. That's Comedy Schools Radio Network.com. How many times do I have to say it? It's one of the things we're built around. It's also built around me showing you some knick-knack memorabilia, silly trinket that I at one time purchased that at one time meant something to me and now had fallen by the wayside. But in the time of quarantine, in the time of in hard times in the land of plenty, I don't know if we're in quarantine or curfew right now. Maybe we're in Corfantine. Is it Corfin? Would it be Curfantine? Maybe that's what we're living right now is Curfantine. Curfew and quarantine, but which we ignore right here on KJazz. That's the idea is everything old should be new again because as our world became less stimulated by outside external things and only got stimulated by horrible things on television, coronavirus, the despicably horrible thing that happened to George Floyd. May God rest his soul. Concerns about if you're going to get sick or not, concerns about losing your job, all that stuff. We thought, you know what? We're going to find some of the stuff that meant something to us and talk about it and bring it back, Jack. Bring it back. That's what we're going to do. We're going to bring it back. So let's get to the first thing, okay? And the first thing is this. What is that? What is that? What is that? I'm going to solve the mystery for you. Are you ready? It's a marble egg. That's all it is. It's a totally useless marble egg, but it looks pretty. Look at that. Isn't that attractive? I feel like I'm on one of those home shopping channels right now. And you can get these, 3 of them right now. If you call in now, we're also going to throw in the floss. You'll get the marbled egg and you'll get the floss. All right, now. I'm trying to remember. I think we got this in Sedona. Sedona is what most people call it.
Maybe it's a crystal.
Huh?
Maybe it's a
crystal. No, it's not a crystal because I've got a crystal and I'm going to show that later on. But it weighs, I don't know, it's heavy. Okay, it's got a little heft to it. Okay, and it just sits on a little stand. There it is, a little cheap plastic stand on my desk. And I probably paid $20 for it. It has no purpose. It is totally decorative. Okay, and it sits on my desk. And that's why that I purchased that for $20 in Sedona is the reason why America is one of the most powerful economic engines to ever exist on the face of the planet. Because we will pay someone to sell us this thing. And we'll buy it. And we'll buy it. And then we'll go out and we'll work some more. Then we can buy something useless. We will work our ass off to buy useless things. And the more useless thing, and we will work our ass off to buy disposable things. And the more useless things we buy, and the more disposable things we buy, the more jobs people have creating. You can only create so many useful things. You can only grow so much wheat. You can only create so much lumber, firewood, coal, gas. You can only create so much. Your economy only goes so far working off of necessities. You got to have stupid shit. America is based on stupid shit. We got to get back to spending our money on stupid stuff because someone will have a job creating stupid stuff. That's what makes us great. That we never sit down and really ponder the inanity of our spell. We'll just go, you know what? We need more money. I don't know what happened to all of our money. We blew all our money. We have to make more money. And then we look around, we got all kinds of useless knickknacks and foolish pleasures. You know, they're not foolish because your job probably is based on a foolish pleasure too, in one way or another. Even if you're an EMT or a paramedic, okay, a lot of times you go to pick up people who have all of a sudden passed out from diabetes. They got diabetes because they ate too much good food, too much rich food, too much delicious food. Our economy is based on buying silly stuff and useless stuff. So instead of going out there and being angry, instead of going out there and being mad, go out and do something silly and useless and save America. Okay. I did last night. I will say this. I want to thank the local. It's not a joke. All right. I want to thank the local chapter of the Maricopa NAACP. I do because last night they sponsored a prayer vigil out here in our little town, and I was able to go out there with so many people in our community. People used to make fun of me for moving to Maricopa. Maricopa barely existed when I moved out here. As a matter of fact, in 2010, there were less than 2,000 people. There's now 60,000. But it's a vibrant little community, and the level of cooperation and friendship and empathy and decency in this town is astounding. You know, it's doubly astounding when you think about that the main artery to Phoenix is an old country road, an old 4-lane country road built back around World War II at least. And thousands of people have to cram it every morning and night to get to and from work. Not right now, because so many people are either laid off or working from home. But we still have one of the most vibrant, empathetic, wonderful, dynamic communities I've ever lived in. And last night they had a wonderful prayer vigil in memory of George Floyd. Not only was it put on by the NAACP, the chief of police in our city, Police Stahl, was invited and spoke, and it was a wonderful coming together of the community. And I want to thank City Councilman Henry Wade and others for putting it together. Okay, so that was nice, and that was not useless, and that was not silly. That was important because it was important for the spiritual and emotional and psychological nourishment of our town. And I'm not a praying guy, and I'm not a religious guy. And some of you watching know that. But we probably need more prayer vigils right now than we ever did before. We need more community coming together around a common purpose of caring about one another than we ever have before. And I hope that your town, city, state, region is doing something like that, because it's so very helpful. Speaking of helpful, if you want to be helpful to yourself, you go, yeah, Tone, I'd like to go to a prayer vigil, but there's not one. All right, what's on Zoom, Tone? Tone, is there anything on Zoom I can do that'll be fun and be free? Why, yes, there is. Jonathan Gregory asked if that was a kidney stone. No, it's a lima bean, John. This is a massive lima bean that I grew in my. Well, I have llamas. It's a llama bean that I grow llamas and then I milk them. And out comes this. No, John. I know it's not. You know what? It's not. I like that Tina Mike Lawson says I have one also, and I love rocks. There. I'm not the only one. We got to do this. By the way, if you ever want to see a great comic and you get a chance to see Jonathan Gregory live or on Zoom, you should see him, because speaking of rocks, he has them in his head. Okay. We had him on our show on Tony Vicich Presents a couple of Sundays ago. One of the funniest shows we put on. I've got 2 record albums, and one I wish there was a bigger group here watching, because you'd be so happy. But that's okay. People will watch it download. Hold on, I want to drop this. I've got one of the coolest records ever. I'm going to start out with a cool record, but then I'm going to go to the coolest record I own. Coolest record I own. You ready? Okay. Now, this is not it, but this is, look at that. This is the Blues Project. This is the Blues Project. And this album came out, I think, around 1965. This is a reissue. This is reissued in 1986. But this came out on Verve Records. Okay? Looks like a bunch of kids right there. Looks like kind of kids that if you're my age, you wouldn't pay attention to what they got to say. They're stupid. But this was Al Cooper's project. Al Cooper. It has on it, I Can't Keep From Crying Sometimes, Steve sung, You Can't Catch Me, 2 Trains Running, Wake Me, Shake Me, Cheryl's Going Home, Flute Thing, Caress Me, Baby, and Fly Away. All produced by Tom Wilson, who also produced a lot of Bob Dylan's early stuff. But the Blues Project can be defined by those who know and understand music in different and interesting ways. I describe it as a work of determination. Take these 5 young musicians and their struggle of this past year. They made it without the aid of a single on the charts and despite economics of an almost unbroken law that says no hit record, you don't survive. They played at the Cafe A Go Go, and they were big in San Francisco and other places. But this was Al Cooper's project. Al Cooper. And you're going, who is Al Cooper? Do you mean Alice Cooper? No, I do not mean Alice Cooper. The Blues Project, mid-60s, Al Cooper. Al Cooper is still around with us, a visionary musician that has been present at the creation of so many wonderful things. Early on, people might have a hard time believing this, but in pop music in the mid-60s, it was divided up against guitar bands and horn bands. Guitar bands and horn bands. The Beatles being a guitar band, and bands like Sam and Dave being a horn band. But they wanted to combine the two, and the Blues Project was the first attempt at it. Al Cooper is kind of a persnickety guy. He left the Blues Project and then went on and formed a band called Blood, Sweat, and Tears, put out an album with Blood, Sweat, and Tears, became unhappy with them, became their producer. On their second album, they hired David Clayton Thomas. They had the monster hit Spinning Wheel and became one of the biggest record sellers of all time, playing blues, playing songs like God Bless the Child, the wonderful Billie Holiday hit of so many years ago. Because of Al Cooper, people like you and I became familiar with the music of Billie Holiday and other great jazz and blues musicians of the 30s and 40s because they played updated modern versions of it so many times. Unhappy with that, he moved on. But wow, right around the same time all that was happening, Al Cooper was invited by a guy named Mike Bloomfield, who was playing guitar with a young kid in New York to one of the recording sessions. While Al Cooper was sitting there, the young kid went, I think that this song needs like organ in it or something. Look around, hey, they can play the organ. Hey, Al, can you play the organ? And Al Cooper never met Bob Dylan before, just met him that day, and had never played the organ before a day in his life. Then sat down and laid down that massive, incredible, dynamic opening organ riff on Bob Dylan's Like a Rolling Stone. A lot of people say Like a Rolling Stone starts out with a rim shot heard around the world because it starts out with a rim shot into this incredible organ intro that is never forgotten once you hear it. He played with Dylan. He toured with Dylan. He formed Blood and Sweat Tears. He left Blood, Sweat, and Tears. And then a few years later, he went down south and discovered and produced for many years Leonard Skinner and did so much more. Al Cooper is one of the most influential musicians, most influential in your life that you've never heard of. And if you want to start with the beginning with him, you check out the Blues Project because it's an incredible piece of work. Move on to his album, Child is Father of the Man with Blood, Sweat, and Tears. And the next time you listen to Like a Rolling Stone, go, no, I know who's playing the organ on that. Okay. All right, this next album. I'm going to show you something here. All right, this is from, if people in their 20s think people like me are from a different time and different era, we are. This is truly from a different time and different era. Back from almost before the beginning. There it is. Check it out. What are we looking at here? And this is an original copy. And as a matter of fact, on the back, it's got stamped up. Look at this. Audition copy. So this was not sold in stores. And how I got it, I don't know. My mom or dad gave it to me when I was a kid. Said, here, you should listen to this. Eddie Cochran, Never to Be Forgotten. And on this, let's see, these words, never to be forgotten, have proven 1,000-fold by you, his fans, who loved Eddie Cochran so dearly. To this day, thousands of letters pour into Liberty Records, the fans, from fans and to his family. And they all carried the same message. Eddie Cochran was the finest entertainer and person I ever knew. I'll never forget him. Eddie Cochran at one time rivaled Elvis Presley. And on this are Weekend, Long Tall Sally, Lonely, Nervous Breakdown, Cherished Memories, Boll Weevil, Little Angel, Milk Cow Blues, Sweet Pie, Love Again, and Blue Suede Shoes, and 20 Flight Rock. So even when I was a little kid and I played this album, and it wasn't my music because this was the music of Elvis, this was the music of Little Richard, this was the music of Jerry Lee Lewis, a man who rivaled Elvis Presley in looks, in fandom, and in sound. His song 20 Flight Rock. I got a girl who's a rebel machine, comes to rock and she's the queen. And he hit me even when I was a little kid. All right. And he wrote and had a big hit with a song called Summertime Blues. Later on done by Acid Weirdness rock and roll band, Blue Cheer out of San Francisco, and of course by The Who. And then done by so many others. Eddie Cochran was just as big and as important as Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis. He was that big. He died tragically from injuries in a car accident in England where he was a demigod. But if you want to listen to something cool, just YouTube 20 Flight Rock. Also in, I think, the silly movie The Girl Can't Help It with Jane Mansfield. Jane Mansfield, when she had it all together, and that includes head and body, was quite a looker. Quite a looker. And there's a scene in that where we're all sitting there watching television, and Eddie Cochran's on 20 Flight Rock. So if you want to hear early rock and roll, it still is a real toe tapper. You want to listen to 20 Flight Rock by Eddie Cochran. What else I got going here? Kevin Brown's watching. Hello, Kevin Brown. Hello, Chris Ruff. You know what? I'm going to kind of wrap it up because it was a marvelous day. I had a marvelous day, and I want to thank God above, and I want to thank my wife, and I want to thank my stepdaughters, for lack of a better term, and my 2 grandchildren. I want to thank them. I want to thank my buddy Gordon McKay, who he and his father painted my entire house. My house looks pretty, and today was the first day we're finished, and I was able to stand in the street and look at it. I have a lot to be thankful for today. And if you want to get through good days and bad, you make yourself a little gratitude list and mean it. Make yourself a little gratitude list and mean it. And today I have a lot to be grateful for. And you do too. And one of the things I have to be grateful for is that every Saturday night at 7 o'clock, I get to do this show and hang out with you. Or either that or record it for you so you can watch it later. Check out Eddie Cochran. Check out the Blues Project. You'll love the music. Come back on tomorrow, Sunday, and tell me what you thought of those 2 artists and some of their songs. I'd love to hear about it on Facebook Live. I'd love to hear about it on YouTube and the Comedy Schools channel. I'd love to hear it on ComedySchoolsRadioNetwork.com. We're going to do that tomorrow, too. Then tomorrow at 7, we're all going to get back together. We're all going to chip in a little dough, and we're going to watch a great show, Paul Green, on Tony Vicich Presents. Tickets for that show are available on ComedySchools.com. Oh, I forgot to mention, if you're looking for something fun and free to do Tuesday night, I'm going to give you something fun. I'm going to give you something free. I get a free intro to my stand-up comedy workshop at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Okay, just go to ComedySchools.com and get your Zoom codes and check out the free intro for free and learn how you can be as entertaining as me. All right, that's it. We're going to go. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to see you tomorrow, too. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, YouTubers.